As promised, here is my video on how to do a faux brick wall. So this is a picture of before and a picture of after. This is in my front entryway, just one side. I did forget to take a video of the process of using the stencil and the spackle with the wall that's featured in this video. But this clip of a video is me doing it in the basement. I have another wall that I'm actually working on as well. The pattern of the bricks is different because these are going to be all kind of broken up, and I'm not doing full coverage with this stencil. But the one upstairs that's featured in this video, I did start from the middle and I worked my way out. That just helps to make sure that all your bricks are lined up, so to speak. But anyway, I just took my dried X spackle. I like it because it's pink and it turns white when it's dry. You can use a more durable joint compound or whatever you want if you choose to. I just use this on these two particular walls because these are walls that are not going to get bumped into, or people aren't going to bump into them when they're walking by or anything like that. So but yeah, just gently pushing down on the putty knife and just slowly kind of dragging it across, and then I kind of tapped it with the putty knife to create that texture. I found it easier to remove the stencil by going from side to side, and so that's what I did. Otherwise, sometimes it can pull down that spackle. So yeah, pull from side to side. It's just a lot easier. And then when you're done, you don't want to, I scraped off the excess spackle. I didn't want to waste it, so I'm scraping it off and putting it back into the bucket. But you don't want to wash it in the sink. You don't want this stuff going down your drain. So whatever's left on there, let it dry. Once it's dry, you can just kind of scrape off the dry pieces into the garbage. Left everything to dry overnight, so once they turn white and they're dry, I'm just taking a 120 grit sandpaper and just lightly going over the top of it. Some of the edges were pointing spiky, as well as some areas in that texture that I had made, so I'm just gently sanding those down to make it a little more smooth. You don't want to push too hard. You don't want a hard grit sandpaper either, because you don't want to lose that texture. Just enough to take the sharp points off of it. And then it was time to paint. I did not use like a specific brand of paint. I used all the paint that I had. Everything from acrylics to metallics to DIY to Wise Owl to Dixie Belle. I just basically took out all the colors I had and went to town. You don't have to make it as colorful as I did. You can just use, some basic colors here and there. But I wanted, because I'm whitewashing, I wanted different colors to kind of pop through. It just kind of goes with the decor in my living room. So played with a bunch of paints, got really messy. It was fun. I felt like a kid. Entertained myself for a couple hours. It was awesome. Pretty colorful. I like it. But I do want to dull it down a little bit more. I don't want it this bright and unfinished looking, right? So in the quote-unquote grout that I made, I'm just going through with my Rust-Oleum white milk paint and just, getting it in between all those bricks. Now, if you're a neat painter and you just painted the surface of each faux brick, kudos to you. I am a messy painter, so I got over the edges. So it did actually take me 2 coats. I had to do this twice to cover up any excess paint that kind of went over the edge of the bricks. But if you're neat about it, you can probably just get away with 1, unless you have a darker base color on your wall. But yeah, so just kind of created the grout, made it look a little more clean, but still too bright. So now I'm taking my paintbrush and I'm just dipping the edge into the paint, and then I'm tapping off that excess. You don't want a whole lot of paint on your brush to dry brush, and that's what this is called. And I'm just kind of, randomly different ways, left, right, up, down, diagonal, going over the brick lightly. And what that's doing is it's putting that white paint on all of the high points. And I did want it in some of the low points, so now I'm stippling. I'm just basically pouncing the brush onto each brick, and this is going to get some little speckles of white paint down in some of those areas that I didn't hit just by dry brushing alone. Creates a little more texture, more of a marbled look. Pretty cool, right? We're gonna take it a step further, but first we're gonna seal it. So as you saw, Wise Owl 1 hour enamel in clear, just giving this a really good one over with that. And then we're gonna let it dry overnight. If you saw my live earlier today, sweet, you already know what I'm doing here. That live actually has a little more in-depth information in it. So if you don't know how to use the glaze, definitely go back and watch that live. But just to kind of sum it up, I am Circular Motions. This is a bronze metallic glaze from Wise Owl. You got to work pretty quick with this stuff. It does dry and get tacky pretty darn quick. So unlike wax I can work with for a while, but yeah, this glaze you got to work quickly. So I'm just doing small sections at a time, getting it in that grout, circular motions to make sure it's getting in every nook and cranny of those little faux bricks. It also helps edge the bricks as well, gives it more of a finished outer edge, so to speak. And then I just took a rag and you're just wiping back all the excess, like off the high points. If there's some like mid points you want to take it off of, you can. Definitely in the grout. If you have too much on in an area and you don't feel like enough is coming off, you can dip your rag in a little bit of water and that will help take it off too. But again, you got to do it quickly. Once it dries, it dries. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. But it's giving it even more depth, more texture, and shadowing. It's kind of hard to see in these videos. In person, these are so much cooler, you guys. So once I got all the glaze on and I was kind of happy with the placement of that and the shadows, whatever, I took out a bunch of my colored waxes. I've got Art Alchemy, which are the really bright colored ones. The gold and silver are just Gilder's wax I got off of Amazon. But just different colors randomly over random bricks. No real rhyme or reason. But just kind of want to get some of those metallic waxes on some of those high points. Again, creating more depth and texture. Also a little shimmer. That glaze also has like a little bit of a shimmer to it as well. But these stand out a little bit more. And this is what they look like when they're finished. So yeah, lots of paint, waxes, but to me it's worth it. This is definitely actually better than the look I was going for. I feel like these turned out even better than I had hoped. So I like them. And you know, obviously don't have to do all of this, but it was fun. It was definitely fun to do. And I like it. It's definitely a visual point when you walk into my house from the side door, which I absolutely love. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. This project did take a few days to complete. You got the dry time with the spackle and then the paints and the sealant, but well worth it. If you have any questions, just message me and let me know. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.